worst idea of all time. It's the worst idea of all time. Season 2.
Hello and welcome to the worst idea of all time, episode 27. My name is Tim Batt.
My name is Guy Montgomery, and we are now in the 27 Club.
Yeah, we are. With such illustrious company as Mama Cass, Jimi Hendrix.
Jim Morrison, Amy Winehouse, Janis Joplin.
We've made it.
Some of the greats.
I am ready to join that club. I'm always in one right now because that was a very sad watch.
Well,
I am pretty much ready to end my own life.
Tim, while I am inclined to agree with you, actually quickly, obviously Tim and I are still in different parts of the world. I'm currently in Sydney, Australia. I got here last night and I woke up, and of course my first point of order was to check in with my good friends Carrie, Samantha, Charlotte and Miranda. And Tim, if I'm not mistaken, it's the sound of tropical birds and waves in the background.
Yeah, I'm coming to you via satellite from tropical Phuket, Thailand, in literally paradise. I'm in a 5-star resort. It is sick. I don't know if I don't know if it'll get picked up on the microphone, but there's waves that have just been crashing, which has seeped slowly in around my headphones, which has been giving me Sex in the City 2 for the last 2.5 hours.
So you watched the movie outdoors today?
Yeah, on our balcony, which faces the beach. I'll take a photo because it's fucking unbelievable, to be honest. 30-degree heat, 87% humidity. For our American brothers and sisters, it's like 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm in the lap of luxury, and I couldn't be sadder about it.
It's the same percentage of humidity for those maths freaks who are confused there. Well, I couldn't be. I'm in a pretty different situation. So I slept on a couch last night at my friend's house, and they all were up and at 'em early on this morning. And now I just sort of woke up as they left and turned it on, the movie. I kind of feel like I've done something bad or naughty. They've let me into their house and I've just taken a shit in the lounge.
I hear you. I feel like I've really sullied this gorgeous, well-manicured ground that I'm on by just shitting on it with this film. I was just filled with sadness this week more than anything else. It's just such a depressing, sad watch. It took a lot to bring me down from the fabulous holiday I've been having in this great little resort. But it did it. Mission accomplished. Well done, you bitches. You got me again. Didn't know you had it in you.
Well, yeah, I felt pretty sad. My body's very confused as to what the time is as well. So it was a real energy journey as well as an emotional journey. I mean, there's not a lot to enjoy. There was a little bit during the movie where I became quite zen. I think I can't remember if I've spoken about this before, but where it's sort of like you're in such what I imagine it would feel like in the middle of a marathon or whatever, when suddenly your brain clicks over from being like, oh, this is so arduous and exhausting, to like, you're just sort of so stuck in the moment that your brain gets to wander down actual interesting or practical avenues of thought. But the trouble was, as soon as I realized that, I sort of broke the zen-like spell. Ah.
So you've started meditating using Sex in the City too?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was definitely a sort of familiar tinge to the movie this week, in the same way that I remember the experience with Grown Ups 2. And actually, that might have been brought on very early on in the film. The wedding invitation that they reveal for Stanford and Anthony's wedding tells us that the wedding is in Connecticut.
Yes, and she says that in the voiceover as well, because it's one of the few places at the time when the film was made that had same-sex marriage legalized.
Well, and I couldn't help but start getting really riled up and excited at the prospect of Lenny and the boys gate-crashing the wedding.
Holy shit, I forgot. Oh my God. What witchcraft is this?
Well, this is the thing, right?
That's an amazing find. How have we not picked that up before?
I really don't know. But I thought, that maybe Lenny knows. Maybe Lenny was friends with Steve at university or whatever, and so he knows he's coming in to see Steve at the wedding. Steve's like, oh, yeah, you can come in and just don't make any ruckus. And all the guys just show up and go ballistic. And the thing is,
Wow.
I feel like, they all share probably a similar sense of sense of humor. Like, all the ladies are making those great classic homophobic gags at the wedding and big.
Yeah.
I feel like they could slide right in with that particular band of merry men.
I would love to see a movie where Lamonsoff, Lenny, everyone else is desperately falling over themselves to try not to offend gay people while having no experience with people other than the redneck community they grew up in. It would be such a delightful comedy.
Can you not imagine that big wedding moment, Mazel Tov, where Carrie gives us that classic voiceover, like it or not, tradition creeps in, if Lamonsoff just busted out a piping hot burp snart to celebrate the matrimony. And like,
there is something uniquely disgusting about describing the burp snart as piping hot. That is visceral and disgusting.
I don't know. I just
made me gag.
Because this isn't really important to you, listener, but Tim and I suffered through a technical hitch when we planned to watch the movie yesterday, but it didn't time out. And accordingly, I spent about 4 hours of my flight from Kuala Lumpur to Sydney just thinking about all the different, just thinking about Sex and the City 2 and the whole, what we're doing. And I was, Grown Ups 2 was creeping in there.
Take me through your notes, because you wrote some stuff down, eh?
Yeah. I wrote some stuff
Take us through.
on the plane. So I started off trying to recount the plot, but I got bored. I had, hi, I'm Carrie. I live in New York City with all my friends and have done for quite a while now. We used to be tolerable, but isn't it how funny how time changes things? And then the next plot point I had was, we're all at a wedding, a gay wedding. It is very important we emphasize it's gay. Why is that, you ask? Well, originally because we thought it might be a good opportunity to celebrate marriage equality and show how progressive we are. But the more we went on, the more we discovered it was a great opportunity to milk for laughs.
Yeah, it's like in Broad City. What's the other girl's name who's not Lana?
Abby.
Abby goes to Lana. Sometimes you're so unracist that you're actually just racist. This movie's like that. It's like they're so desperate to try and prove that homosexuality is okay that they're definitely not okay with it.
Yeah. But so the thing is, I wound up sort of trying to create all these through lines between Sex and the City 2 and Grown Ups 2. Like, I was trying to figure out which Grown Ups 2 character is which Sex and the City 2 character.
Oh, yeah. Have we played that game before? I'm not sure if we have.
The strongest connection I made was Samantha and Higgins. Well, because, they're the most likable, probably. All they're trying to do is get some nookie or whatever they want, whatever colloquial
so
term
true.
they want to call it. Like,
they've got quite similar hair too. It's kind of like wispy and blonde.
All this shit's happening around them, and all they want to do is, bang the pizza boy or girl or whatever.
You'd be forgiven for forgetting, ladies and gents at home, that Higgins is played by David Spade.
I don't know that you would be forgiven if you've made it this.
I'll forgive you. I will not. That's how it stands at the moment.
And then it was like Carrie, I thought was Lenny, just because they're the protagonist.
Yeah, and they're both kind of frustratingly presented as if you're supposed to care about them, but undeniably,
it's hard too.
What's the word for you can't sympathize with someone? Because it's not unsympathetic, so that means they're not being sympathetic. But it's impossible to sympathize with them. Horrible? Fuckwit?
I mean, horrible is a pretty good
word.
synonym for unsympathetic.
Whatever it is, but I'm sorry, keep going.
That still leaves...
Who's Lamonsoff?
Well, I mean, it was sort of a toss-up, but I thought Charlotte and Lamonsoff are probably the most similar in that they're both just quite a menace to be around. There's not there's not a lot of positives to be gleaned from their company, and they're also destroying their relationships through stunted development and an inability to communicate. With Charlotte, it's in that she doesn't talk about any of her relationship affairs with Runkle. She just sort of...
You're going deep.
Yeah.
I love it.
And with Lamonsoff, it's that he keeps fucking sneaking off to watch Days of His Lives with his mum instead of hanging out with his sweet-ass wife.
Yeah.
And then that sort of left just by virtue of being the
So
only.
then that makes, by that reckoning, that makes Steve Sally, doesn't it?
Miranda and Mackenzie. Steve.
Oh.
Yeah. Steve and Sally. Yeah. I mean, Steve and Sally. Now, there's a movie. If we could somehow get the rights to these characters, because Steve,
Mrs. Lemonsoff and Steve trick it out. I think they would be a dynamite couple.
and
I'll
the
be the
thing
first
is,
to say
they
it.
probably went to some like frat or sorority party together at university with Lenny, and saw each other in passing, but nothing came of it.
This is the train in the night situation that should have been.
Yeah, I mean,
ships.
this is like
what is it saying? Whatever it is.
ships and trains travel by night too, but they usually, since they're on one rail, they don't sort of just glide past each other like ships.
Imagine if they did though. That
It's sort of like
something happened at night.
What
and
it
they're
would
just
wind up
like able to go through each other.
What would
That'd
wind
be
up
cool.
being, well, it's like a Harry Potter plot. It would be like this would be like a sliding doors, butterfly effect, Sex and the City 2, Grown Ups 2 mashup, where we could unpack the backstories and sort of see how it could have been.
Well, I would relish the opportunity to do so. But I don't think anyone's going to part with the rights to these rich franchises that are clearly gearing up for more sequels. Do you think we're going to see another Grown Ups?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I feel like Adam Sandler's just chucking whatever he wants at that Netflix deal, so it wouldn't.
Yeah. He's got what has he got to fill up there? 7 movies, is it, that he signed?
Yeah, I think he's done 2. I almost watched The Cobbler on the plane.
I've heard such weird, disparate things about The Cobbler because a couple of people are really standing by it, but most people just say it's a real wreck.
Yeah, well, I watched Dead Poets Society instead, which is actually quite good.
That's probably a better choice.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm sticking to my chair. This is so bad. I haven't drunk any water out here either, so I might sound a bit stupid. It's just because I'm like medically dehydrated right now, but I feel good because the movie's over now.
So
hey, did you notice?
Oh, you go.
At the start, I think that the movie's trying to tell us to pay attention to Coffee Guy, because in one of the first shots of the movie where Carrie's giving everyone's backstory and how they're connected to her because the world revolves around Ms. Bradshaw, and she says that Charlotte and her met when a homeless man dropped his pants, and a truck drives past Charlotte at that moment where the camera's directly on her, and what's in that truck? Coffee beans, Guy. The movie is directing us to pay attention. It's putting a red flag there to say, this is important. Pay attention to coffee and coffee-related personas.
For a movie about coffee, I'm still so confident that none of the coffee cups contain any caffeine whatsoever.
There's nothing in any of them, and you will never convince me of otherwise. They're so obviously empty.
And I think
especially Biggs.
We can also definitely Biggs not having any caffeine. He's been miming just to maintain the illusion that he's got any money whatsoever.
Hugely.
But and more than that, maybe that Michael Patrick King has got everyone's sedated theory runs a little deeper, and he's sort of banned coffee outright from the set.
Huh.
And all the gals are like, it would be easier for us to act in this scene if we actually had coffee in our cups. And he's like, no. But they're so docile, they can't actually like speak back in the same sort of energy realm. So they're just like, why can't we have coffee? He goes, you'll never understand. I don't know.
Do you think as a placeholder, because the girls needed something, he just started dumping all of his cigar ash into cups? But they were like, do you know what? It'd probably just be easier if they were empty. We'll imagine.
Yeah, that's classic MKP. Who's a funny dude.
Hey, no shit, man. Charlotte's Petrie, I've had bedrooms smaller than that thing. I really took a good look at the dimensions this week. I was like, you guys are taking the absolute mickey with this thing. It's so ludicrously big.
Well, yeah, I actually, I don't know what it was about the situation. I don't know if it was sympathy for Charlotte or myself, but the screaming children when she shut herself in the pantry really got to me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's something about it. I mean, I was surrounded by screaming babies yesterday on the plane, so maybe it was a hangover from that. And I was sitting there, I was like confused and tired and kind of becoming irate, which is unreasonable. And I was like, what? With my knees pretty much next to my ears, being like, what are these babies screaming about? They're never going to be more comfortable on a plane.
Was it while you were in the air or while you were not in the air?
It was both.
Because if it's when you're in the air, there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
Babies have
yeah.
shit ears.
Well, I thought it could also be because they've found out, maybe they've just sort of developed the consciousness to understand that they'll never be as comfortable on a flight again, and so it's a scream for the future.
That's pretty bleak assessment of why a child might be crying on a plane. Hey, I got a new continuity error this week, which I was pretty proud of. You want to hear it?
Yes.
In the slow motion shot with the Aussie rugby team who were there for the World Cup trials, once again, can't stress this enough, not a thing, couldn't even be a thing. When they've got the slow motion shot of them diving into the pool, and we hear about Samantha's diminished sex drive and how that is the end of the world. Miranda's actually in the back of shot, tucking into some food with a knife and fork, and I say, bloody good on her, because despite the fact that these girls are surrounded by food the entire film, they're never seen eating, except in that one shot. So she's tucking into a plate of, I hope, steak, with a knife and fork.
Probably a defiant play by Cynthia Nixon against the very direct instruction from Michael Patrick King not to consume any caffeine or actually eat any form of food whatsoever, lest the energy wake them from their comatose and have them realize what's happening.
Do you think... Oh, okay, let me check out what the continuity error is. When you go back to normal speed, so it's not in slow motion anymore, she's drinking a tall cocktail. So they're like two very different things that she's doing, but you only notice it if you keep your eye on old Professor Oak and see what he's up to in the back of shot.
You got.
Do you think Michael Patrick King, like, he's very confused about world cultures, and he heard something about Ramadan, so he's like, this movie is eventually shooting in the Middle East somewhere, so we can't have any coffee or food consumed anywhere on set, and he's just kind of got all these weird disparate cultural norms and kind of fuck them up and throwing them in the pot.
I feel like, I think he doesn't have. He's got a very loose concept on like grasp of time as well, because on the wedding invitation it said July 24th, and we've talked about how the timeline jumps all over the place. But July 24th, which would mean, because it is July 4 when they're banging at the end of the movie, and it's August at some point. It's just
August 3rd. No, that actually makes sense. If the wedding took place on July 24th, when Carrie wakes up in the middle of the night, from memory, it's the 3rd of August. So that's pretty. No, that's fine.
Because Carrie said she says it's a few weeks of sweet marriage with Mr. Big, like in between. There's so many weeks apart. I mean, it's really.
Oh, true.
I also.
True.
I don't know. I've picked out some fun stuff this week to try and make it okay. Like, I thought that maybe one of the problems with the relationship, and this is probably just from repeated viewings that's making me think about this, but every anniversary, Carrie gets Big a really awesome gift, and every anniversary, Big just buys the latest TV.
So he's just constantly trying to sneak a base and thinks that he could get away with it.
He just keeps, and she's like, it's going to be redundant in a year. Why do you keep doing this?
No, this one's got 3D technology. This is going to be the next big thing. You know how I got that full HD one last year? Forget about it. Burn it. Throw it away. You already did.
This one's
because you got real mad at me and I slept on the couch for a month. This one's got 3D though, baby. Now put these glasses on and be transported to a world you've never seen before. A Jurassic World. And he bought a Jurassic World.
Yeah, and it also had a built-in Minidisc player. And Carrie's just like, what?
God bless you for bringing up that beleaguered, too oft forgotten technology.
Well, the thing that
Sony tried to cram down our throats for so long.
This was Mr. Big's big idea from his big idea. Mr. Big's big idea of books. As he started,
Mr. Big. Hold on, we're going to say it correctly. Mr. Big's big book of ideas.
Yeah, so he's been buying up all the TVs in New York with whatever remains of their money, and himself, he's been hand fitting them with mini disc players.
Oh, that's good. That's bloody good.
So that you can soundtrack your own episodes of Deadliest Catch or It Happened One Night or whatever black and white film you might happen to be watching.
Do you know, so I had several mini disc players and they were fine, except that the software that you had to use that Sony put out, so it was like their early version of iTunes, it literally broke 3 family computers that we had. Just kept installing it, and it would destroy the machine. It's so bad.
I can imagine.
I don't know what kind of I don't know what Big would be playing at trying to get these TVs out into NYC, but I feel like it'd be worse than, when everyone thought the computers would shut down in Y2K. It'd be like he'd create his own mini-disc ushered in tech apocalypse.
Well, the thing is, because there were other signs. There's another sign this week I found, which that Big doesn't even have a basic understanding of finance or anything. Is that the TV show he's watching when he throws the remote away? It's a CNN show. I don't know if it's real or not, but it's called Money Summary. And
Oh, yeah?
the show, as I understand it, is pretty much just an explanation from a man with white hair and a suit of how, like, what money is and how an economy actually works.
The concept of money.
And he keeps trying to watch this TV show every week, but Carrie never lets him.
So is he he's somehow stumbled his way through his good looks and deep voice and confidence. He's swaggered his way into a job that he's grossly unqualified for, in control of billions of dollars, and now he's trying to start up from Economics 101 to figure out what exactly he's doing when he goes to the office day after day.
So not only is he trying to get this bloody mini disc in the TV business off the ground, but at the same time he's just trying to understand what money is.
Good on him. He's been winging it for too long. Too many bosses in that situation or middle management would just continue to wing it. But I say good on him for either having the fear that he's going to be found out and doing something about it, or the passion of self-improvement to try and learn what the fuck he's doing every day while he's bashing keyboards. Good on him.
Oh, man. I'm just drained. I feel like this movie sucked all of the muscles out of my body, and I'm just a bag of flesh and bones.
Well, I'd like to extend gratitude, because I was definitely in the pits of despair last week, and I think I think we really captured that on the microphone and got that out.
Did you listen back to that?
Nah, I don't want to go back there.
You stirred up some real concern amongst the fans.
Hey?
You stirred up some real concern amongst the listeners.
That's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say thank you very much for everyone who extended some concern and support and just told me to stick in there. It's hugely appreciated. It's much appreciated. It's a good thing. I want to announce now, and I'll do it at the end as well so you remember, but I want to remind all y'all that Guy and I are actually gearing up to go back to Los Angeles to do the podcast festival, which is in just a couple of weeks, I think. Just a couple of short weeks. It's on the 19th and 20th, unless I'm mistaken, of September. And if you're not able to go, which, if you think about it statistically,
it's quite likely,
is you, then you can buy a streaming ticket for $25. But if you use the code WORST, they only charge you $20 of their US dollars. And you get to watch the whole thing play out online, plus get access to the video for 3 weeks to go back and watch at a time of your leisure. And it's like, there are some big dogs at this festival. Yeah. The biggest dogs of all.
And I saw this morning that Andy Daly's going to be the guest on Spontanea Nation for the Podfest weekend, which is a joy to hear. Hey,
if you haven't got into Paul F. Tompkins' Spontanea Nation yet, do yourself a bloody favour. I don't even know who I'll be talking to, because I assume if you're listening to our one, you know about podcasts, so you know about that one. But you got to get in on it. It's too good.
We've got a pocket of diehard Sex and the City 2 fans who don't know anything about podcasts.
Oh man, that would bring me great joy.
I'd like to think
we're opening up a new medium.
We're inspiring fan fictions by proper Sex and the City 2 fans.
I want to see some Tim and Guy fictions. That's what I would love.
You're greedy. You're greedy, mate. You're a greedy guy.
I know. But it would just I'd really feel like
here's a fan fiction for you, Tim, penned by Guy Montgomery.
Okay.
The year is 2016. The month February. Guy and Tim stop watching Sex and the City 2.
Then what?
Fuck, I don't know. I thought that was a pretty good fan fiction as it was.
It's more of, okay, we'll go with that. Everyone cancel your literary works. A guy has nailed storytelling. In fact, don't bother writing anything ever again, because nothing will be as good as what
brevity is the soul of wit, said Michael Patrick King. I've got a shining light for you, Tim. Oh,
yeah, I forgot we did that. Hit me with it.
So when Samantha and Nikki start having loud sex at the big gay wedding, full
Yes.
of big gay humans who all want to fuck Mr. Big because he's got no
It's like
idea.
the music. It's like the music festival we have had in New Zealand, Big Day Out, big gay wedding. You've got to say it like that every time.
So they're having sex really loudly, and during the sort of establishing shot of the house, so that it's understood how loud it is, and we see sort of people milling around the entrance to the house. There are two guys there's like a bunch of guys in suits, but sort of on the bottom right of the frame, there's two guys in suits, and one of them has his hand around the neck and the head of the other guy. A taller guy has his hand around the sort of the head and neck of a shorter guy. And he's making, like, I wouldn't say aggressive advances, but what are undeniably advances. And the shorter guy's just not into it at all.
Oh my!
And there's like
That's not good.
there's kind of two movements where the taller guy's like, oh yeah, come on, but give us a smooch. And the little guy's like, I ain't smooching you, I'm happy. And then the little guy actually defers to the loud sex noises to sort of weasel out of it. And before you know it, the shot's gone. But it's sort of, I mean, it's...
I love that what you've just described takes place in probably 2/3 of 1 second.
I know, and it's so rich with story and detail. Like, so many...
There's stuff happening there, huh?
There's so many
character play.
loose threads in this film which go untugged. You know how you tug on a loose thread?
Yeah, I've got you, man. I'm on board. Slow down the metaphor wagon. I need to really understand what you're talking about. What is a thread, guy?
Like, you know, if you got a jersey and it's got a loose thread, and you tug on it,
I'm there.
and
I'm going to give you
and it
a
unravels.
ship. I'm going to give you my shining light now. Are you ready for it?
Okay.
I like the fact, and this is not dissimilar from yours, that it just shows a bit of depth in what's happening with these characters. But Magda, who is the housekeeper for
You're
Steve
in love
and
with
Miranda.
now.
I'm not in love with her. I just think it's hilarious how blatantly she eyeballs the camera at science. She looks directly down the barrel. Like, she's like, what's... It's like she's never seen a camera lens before and she's checking it out. She is looking directly at you. It's freaky. But that's not my shining light, because that already has been my shining light, I think. My shining light is the fact that I'd never understood why she looked really uncomfortable when Steve says to Miranda that she should quit her job, stay home, and help out around the house. She looks really weird. She gives this weird look, and I never got it until now, when I figured out that would mean Magda would probably be fired. And I love that she probably wasn't given any direction for that, but she was like, okay, my character is a housekeeper, so naturally if Miranda's here, she's doing the cleaning up, there's nothing left for me to do. I'm out. And she gives a good old-fashioned wince at her impending unemployment.
Hey, that's a great shining light, Tim.
Thanks, man.
You're a positive dude.
Well, I'm a jobs creator guy. Well, that is to say, I like people creating jobs. I'm a fan of jobs creators.
You don't create jobs yourself. Also, I've got a little bit of a conspiracy theory that you might be able to help me unpack quickly, Tim.
Well, you know I'm always keen on them.
So, you know, after Garon is opening Carrie's mail and Samantha's mail for whatever reason, and then Carrie has a big freak out at Charlotte for calling her on her shit, which still shits me to this day, that, like, Carrie's freaking out about this bad review, and then she's like, I can't write books as a married woman, and Big wants 2 days off from the marriage, and then Charlotte's like, I thought you both wanted that, and then Carrie's like, Charlotte, now is not the time to call me on the shit I was trying to sell you on the plane. Anyway, she goes barnstorming out of the fucking apartment or whatever, and Garon is like he's up to something on the phone in the background of shot before he's like, where are you going? Like, yes. And he quite sort of tries to subtly hang it up, but 27 times in Montgomery spotted it.
I know exactly the bit you're talking about. I've seen him do that. He does the whole thing where you put your hand over the receiver bit and gently try and get the phone away from you.
What's going on there?
What is going on there, guy? Garon is one slippery fish. He comes across as being this lovely guy, spins a yarn about his wife who lives in India that he barely gets to see, purely for the purpose of tugging at the heartstrings of our hero, Carrie Bradshaw. Why is he trying to infiltrate her? I know why. he represents a rival publishing house that has many, I don't want to say chicklet, but I will say
No, they do. They have many
woman
baby
writers
chickens.
in their
Lots
stable.
of little chicklets.
Yeah, so they've got all of these baby chickens writing feminist literature at this rival publishing house, and they're always in contention in that particular section of the New York bestseller list with Carrie Bradshaw, who just keeps pumping out these insufferable volumes about nothing, just bloody having sex. We've all done it, mate. Guess what? It's nothing new. We've all done it.
It was when she started.
Since the beginning of time, we've all fucked. Revolutionary that you're writing it down in the book, some would say. Not me, though. I'm not on board. I want more chicken-delivered feminist writing. And I won't apologize for that. And that's why I think Garon is on the side of good and Carrie on the side of evil.
You're a harsh critic, Tim, but a fair critic.
I think so, too. Well, it's almost scribbit. Oh, jeez, it's hot over here.
It's almost squeebit-a-bo-bo. Squelch. Squelch goes the chair Tim sits on. Squiller, squelch. Squelch. Whoa.
Scribbit-a-bar. Scribbit-a swoosh.
I'm hemorrhaging sweat,
Scribbit-a-haba.
baby. Whoo.
Scribbit-a-hoo, it's hot. Scribbit-a-hee-ho.
I'm losing a lot of fluid.
Squibbit-a-ba-ba. Scribbit-a-boo. Scribbit-a-beesh. Scribbit-a-ba-ba. Scribbit-a-hoo-hoo.
What's he doing?
Where's he going? Why is
he
it
off
so
to?
hot today?
That's right. It's that time.
Coffee guy. 3 syllables, 2 words, 1 man, 3 seconds of film, a lifetime of enjoyment. What is he up to this week, Guy?
Well, Coffee Guy has actually recently moved to New York from a little-known city called Stanton, Connecticut.
Uh-oh.
That's
I
right.
think I see where this is going.
It was a sort of a sleepy Connecticut suburb where he was the owner of probably the most successful department store, certainly the most successful Kmart franchise in the state. And he's sort of been having a bit of... there's been some hooligans, not even young hooligans, aged hooligans who have started coming in, spending hour upon hour in his store, mucking around with the hoses, mucking around with the exercise equipment, mucking around with the knives and the pretzels. And he's had it. I mean, the entire local police department is in Lenny Fader's pocket, so he can't really do much to get rid of them. So he's sold up. He's moved to New York City. All right? And he figured, this is a city that is so populated with other people that surely I'll find either a niche of company to enjoy or, you know, peace and quiet, maybe peace and quiet probably through the company of people he likes. And to meet these people, he's a coffee fan, he's a foodie, if you will. He sort of goes to these local restaurant and cafe haunts. But everywhere he dines, everywhere he goes for a cup of coffee, he runs into sort of a similar problem he faced in Stanton, Connecticut at his Kmart, which is these fucking harpies seem to be just within earshot every single goddamn time.
So hold on. Sorry, he was in Stanton, Connecticut managing the Kmart, being run roughshod. Couldn't get any help from the local authorities. The boys in blue paid him no credence. And so he moved to New York. Did you say he's a cop now?
No, he's not a cop.
Or he's just there?
He's just in New York trying to find himself and some...
Trying to make his way. And this is is this the first... So, like, whenever he's in New York, he keeps running into these women. Is that what's happening?
Well, yeah.
Just wherever he's at.
Essentially. And so he's sitting there and he's come up during that... As he necks the coffee, he's come up with a brilliant... What he thinks is a brilliant business idea. I mean, he's pretty detached from reality at this point.
Yeah.
So he's left the cafe with this great idea that he's going to have his ears surgically filled up with like semi-permanent earbuds.
Wow.
So it's and who should he approach for the business idea? But he's read an ad in the local paper calling for business ideas from someone called Mr. Big.
Wow.
Who's got a bit of excess money on account of the success of Mr. Big's Jacuzzis. So
Well, as we all know, that made one man very wealthy.
that's
indeed.
right. And so Mr. Big keeps getting sent all of these sort of unverified semen samples. Not something he'd hoped for, obviously, but surely there's a business opportunity in there. And him and Coffee Guy wind up teaming up and refining it with flour and water to make a very viscous sort of paste, which is essentially the first prototype for this new exciting semi-permanent earbud.
Jesus. So once they're in your ears, is there no getting them off? Is that they're there to stay?
Not for a week.
So it's similar to it strikes me as a similar thing to like a cochlear implant, but the opposite, where it decreases your hearing.
Yeah.
Well, quite a concept, Guy. Quite an adventure that Coffee Guy's on. I wish him all the best.
I cannot imagine this business ending well, personally or professionally.
Hard to see how it wouldn't create long-term medical problems for the wearer, but I wish him all the best. Hey, that might have to do it for us right now, but we'll be back, and I think we're a little bit late off the mark on this one, so we might have to catch a plane back to NYC sooner than either of us would ever dare like.
Yeah.
But
Well,
we'll sort that out.
while we're here, I might just selfishly take the opportunity in my ongoing quest to perform comedy to every person in the world. I am currently in Sydney with quite a boatload of tickets, if you will. A lot of ticket runoff, an overflow, if you will, available to see me do a show called Guymont Comedy at the Sydney Comedy Fringe. So if you want the details, you can look it up. I've got a tweet pinned on the top of my tweets where you can click on the link and buy a ticket if you are so interested. Please tell anyone who might like to hear me talk for an hour. It's pretty much no semen-based content.
That is at Guy_Mont if you want to get on that handle. And do yourself a favour, follow that man.
Follow that man. I'd follow you. I'd follow you over.
How much
a
is
cliff,
your show?
Tim.
What are you charging people for this one?
It's 15 Australian dollars, but I will be distributing hugs afterwards to anyone who comes, and I'm pretty sure that that's not an insurmountable task on account of ticket sales as it stands.
Festivals. Don't we love them? Very cool, man. I love that. Well, once again, to blast our own trumpet, Google the LA Podfest. Please buy a streaming ticket and use the code WORST. Save yourself $5. It helps our show as well. And we're going to be in LA, which means you'll have, because we're going to do a gig there as well at Reese Darby's gig, our mate Reese at Largo on, I think, the 22nd of September.
21st.
So you will have performed...
No,
21st. Is it a Tuesday night, is it?
No, it's Tuesday, 22nd. Sorry, you're right.
22nd. You'll have performed comedy in 3 continents in like the last few weeks, which is pretty crazy.
It is crazy. It's certainly not as profitable as as one might think.
Yeah, it also means that Antarctica's probably too hard to get to. It'd be nice to try and watch Sex and the City 2 in each continent. I would have to get my ass to Europe at some point, though.
I'd have to get over
And you would have to come to Asia.
And we'd both have to get to Africa.
Oh, that would be excellent, though.
And
We'll just take that plane ride that doesn't exist that Carrie went on. You know, that famous route that takes you from New York City to Abu Dhabi.
Over Africa.
Over Africa. We'll just take that one.
Joy of joys. Hey, Tim, I tell you what, while I didn't enjoy watching the movie this week, it has been fun speaking with you.
Yeah, you too, bud. For everyone else out there, we never talk except through these. So it's good to catch up. I'm going to go eat a breakfast buffet and have a quick dip in the pool.
Oh, fuck you. All right.
I've earned this, motherfucker, after last week. I've certainly earned this.
See you later.
Bye.
It's the worst idea of all time. It's the worst idea of all time. It's the worst idea of all time.